Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. I've done it. I've watched both of these Titan shows. One of them still in their prime. Here are links to both my reviews of those shows. Be courteous, check them out, and don't be a dick. I mean, both these shows are two of the highest rated shows on IMDb. Fuck, like, Breaking Bad is like #1 with a 9.6. And I said I'd watch both these shows because I thought there had to be something better on TV than The Walking Dead. Well, both these shows shit all over The Walking Dead. That much is no longer in question. As a matter of fact, most of my fondness of The Walking Dead has now been completely and utterly destroyed, thanks to these shows. And in celebration of the juicy Season 4 premiere of Game of Thrones, which was awesome, by the way, I am now going to compare these two Titan shows, and it only makes sense, seeing as they both shit all over The Walking Dead, and in my continuing quest to find the greatest show on television, I am now obligated to see which of these two shows shits all over the other. Well, actually, I'd like to correct that last statement. Neither show really shits all over the other. I just personally prefer one over the other. Breaking Bad has probably some of the finest acting in a TV show. Bryan Cranston is top-notch, and the rest of the actors put on terrific performances. The writing is incredible, the story is original, and the breakdown of Walter White into a cold, ruthless killer is well executed and written. The foreshadowing, the camera work, lots of epic as fuck moments. Game of Thrones also has quite the stellar cast, and a much larger one than Breaking Bad. Though there are some weak links, its cast is still top-notch. Game is just loaded with tons of likable characters you can root for, and others that just boil your blood. The dialogue is amazing, and the show is just huge in scope, and there's all the political intrigue and wars. And politics is what I'm all about, baby. I mean, comparing these two shows, they're pretty evenly matched. Like, they both have amazing stories, amazing writing, the visual effects are on par, the characters are flawless in their complexity, and the actors all put on amazing performances. I mean, Tyrion Lannister and Saul Goodman. How do you choose? Because they're both amazing, they're both funny, and their actors just flawlessly portray these characters. Like, they fucking nail it. But I suppose if I had to compare the performances in these shows, Game of Thrones does have a few weak links here and there. Emilia Clarke does pretty well for the most part, but there are times when her performance does feel a bit forced. And there are times when she delivers a line in a really hammy way. But that's just one out of many. And the rest of the actors, especially Peter Dinklage, are A-grade. But again, I'm not sure any of them still measure up to Bryan Cranston. And there's also the fact that while Game of Thrones' story is amazing, it is based on a book series, while Breaking Bad is an entirely original story, unless I'm missing something. Well, Breaking Bad, having an original story, does earn it a lot of points. But hey, give credit where credit is due. Adapting a book and making it satisfying is fucking hard. I've read the Song of Ice and Fire books, and they have not diminished Game of Thrones for me at all. As a matter of fact, I can see them as two separate entities of the exact same story. The show actually does a lot of things better than the books. The most blazing example being Tyrion's confession, which was really fucking lame in the books compared to the show. But what about the size and scope of each series' stories? Because this is a big point for me. I mean, Breaking Bad's story is pretty large in scope. Walter White is trying to sell meth so that he can survive cancer, and eventually in the series he even tries to build his own meth empire. And then he gets involved with other large meth empires, Mexican drug cartels, the works. Breaking Bad's story is pretty big in scope, but Game of Thrones is even larger. Some may say too large. I mean, we have 5 kings competing for a throne, great houses vying for dominance, an exiled queen trying to regain her birthright, and ice zombies that threaten the entire world. I mean, I love a good drug empire building story as much as the next guy, but Game of Thrones is politics, its sheer scope, and all its lore is just far more up my alley than Breaking Bad is. But forget all that shit. How about let's just compare them based on the one merit we can all understand. What's the overall entertainment and rewatchability value of both shows? I mean, I love Breaking Bad, but it's just not that rewatchable for me. I mean, the story is great, don't get me wrong. It's just not interesting enough for me to want to sit through 5 13-episode seasons all over again. And also, it's just downright depressing. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, dude, the Red Wedding, Ned's execution, all the overall abusive shit that happens in that show? I have not forgotten. The thing is, that hasn't stopped me. I mean, yeah, sure, all this abusive stuff happens in the show, but there's still some hope for my favorite characters, and it's worth watching just to see where the story's gonna go after this. And besides, I could watch all 3 seasons of Game of Thrones over and over and over again and not get bored. So overall, I have to go with Game of Thrones. I mean, Breaking Bad is amazing, and objectively it's probably the better show, but Game of Thrones is just more my kind of show, and it's far more rewatchable for me. Although I think my shirt and my choice in music probably didn't make this a surprise at all. So, there it is. If you agree or disagree with this video, be sure to discuss in the comments section, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also be sure to check out my blog at The Critical Canucks at blogspot.ca, and also be sure to follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook, all that jazz. Links to all those are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be seeing you next time. Peace out, everybody.